is going to be, what if Deku had a djinn, so my own custom djinn, from Maggie Labyrinth of Magic. So this is going to be separated into 2 parts. Well, it's only going to be part 2, but like it's going to be 2 halves. The first half will consist of him getting 1 for all, and the other half will consist of him not having gotten 1 for all. Okay, so yeah, skip ahead to whenever I've finished this half if you don't like the idea of him getting 1 for all. Otherwise, continue. So yeah, he will get, so in this time he'll get 1 for all. However, it's going to be a bit different. So continuing from where we left off, Deku, sorry about that, Deku is 7, so he's just popped out of the dungeon. He's got all the cash around him, but that's not the most important thing right now. Of course, this area would have been basically deserted completely for the past 3 years. I said this in the last part. He was gone for 3 years, although for him it was 2 years. But yeah, basically this entire area, due to the fact that this labyrinth appeared, which has now disappeared by the way, basically it's been closed off. So Deku ends up being like, if you guys have actually seen either of the animes, Maggie Labyrinth of Magic or Maggie Adventures of Sinbad, you'll know that basically he appeared in a hole with a ton of cash surrounding him. And also, I do not remember if I said this last time, but his djinn went into his blade, or into the hilt, basically the base of the blade. And so yeah, this will make it so that he can use his abilities just by holding on to the end. So yeah, now I will properly begin. So yeah, he's going to be surrounded by money, and like, of course nobody's going to, know his there, except for like the occasional person who might wander there. Let's just say that his mother, if I've got that right, I'm just starting to think that I think it's Inko. Basically, his mother will appear. Like, let's just say that she came into this area because, like, she's praying for her son, like, grieving. Because even though it's been 3 years, like, it was still, her kid. So yeah, she will be there, and she'll see the dungeon, like, suddenly. I don't know how it, like, disappears. I think it, like, retracts. Maybe it shatters. Honestly, we never see. But yeah. So then we're gonna see. So we're gonna then like hear like a crash. Well, Ino is gonna hear a crash, and she's gonna be like, "What's going on?" And then she's gonna look up, and then she's just gonna see the dungeon. It's like it's not there. Like what it would be to her, the grave of her son basically disappeared. So she's like, what? Then she sees that there's a pit left behind, so she's gonna lean over, and then she's gonna see a young boy. Can I be honest with you? I didn't rewatch my thing, so I don't actually really completely remember what I said. But from my own memories of what I had thought about it, basically, she's going to see a 7-year-old Izuku Midoriya with like a tinge lighter hair. So yeah, she's gonna see him like, if you've watched if you've seen the intro to one of the anime intros for My Hero Academia, you will see that This is basically what she's dressed as. I have no clue, by the way, what I said he was wearing previously, so please do tell me. But yeah, she'll see this, and by the way, this is the same for the neck. Actually, I won't say this. But yeah, basically, he then... Oh, I need to take a break for a sec. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. And more noise. Okay. I don't know how this sounds, sorry. Anyway, enough of me apologising to my phone. But yeah, on to the rest of the what if. Okay, so, Deku, so yeah, Inko will see Deku, you know, on the floor, and like, he's surrounded by, you know, tons and tons of cash. You know, she's gonna be a bit surprised. Like, I feel like if I saw my child, like any sensible parent, I would be kind of surprised. So yeah, she sees him and she's like, what the fuck? But yeah, she doesn't really take notice of the money surrounding him. Let's just say that at this moment in time, I'm gonna say that Inko is still prime-ish Inko, if you get my drift. But yeah, she's gonna be like, yeah, because she's gonna stress Ethan because, you know, her son died, but like at the same time, she's not really gonna be, you know, the Inko we see in the anime, you know, because I mean it hasn't been long enough for her, so yeah, I would actually say that she'd most likely have stressed, not Ethan. I don't know what that's called. Sorry. But yeah, she probably would. I feel like that would happen, but in canon she does stress eat. So yeah. So she's gonna see Midoriya there, and then he see, you know, it's gonna be one of those moments like that you often see at the end of a series or something, and you see them look at each other, and then they run towards each other, and then one tries to punch the other, you know, that sort of thing, but no punching. They're just going to run to each other, and then they're going to do a classic the Izuki Midoriya family cry at each other, you know. They're going to spurt water fountains at each other, you know. Although this isn't how Izuku's going to be throughout the rest of the story, but I felt, you know what? I mean, it's Izuku, you know, he sees his mother after 2 years, or what he thinks is 2 years, so he's going to be pretty, like, happy. Anyway, but, yeah, then the proper procedures, I assume, would be taken. He's not dead anymore, you know, and apparently he has a, mind this is in quotes, quirkless. Although, well, technically he is quirkless, but, you know, he has a djinn's power, so he might as well be a god. Because, in my opinion, I mean, if any of the the metal vessel users in Maggie ever fought, like, even All Might, I mean, I'm pretty sure they could one-shot him. But yeah, that's besides the point. I kind of feel terrible for this. But anyway, but yeah. So yeah, they would be like, they would use all the, first, like, some of the plates and stuff, I mean, I'm sure they would keep for themselves, like, come on, I mean, yeah, like, I'm pretty sure I saw a good few pieces of, like, really nice cutlery there, and some good plates in all of the shows, maybe just plates and goblets, but you understand people. I mean, like, why sell it when you can just abuse people with it? I mean, like, you know, like, the thing that people do when they have expensive stuff, like, they kind of show it off and stuff. But yeah, what they would the main thing they would do is, like, they would sell most of, like, the jewellery, the jewels and stuff, and, you know, get, like, a ridiculous sum of money. So in this timeline, Izuku is actually gonna be pretty, he's got a good fortune for him. So you ain't gonna worry about college here. Anyway, so yeah. So also, since this is my personal idea of how one for all would affect him, I'm sorry. So I feel a little bit bad that I'm kind of going all around. Actually, no, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to continue with the story. I'll tell you what happens with one for all later on. Anyway, so yeah, and also after the procedures are done, like he's now a doctor. He's classified as alive, and also I remind you again, in quotes, quirk. They're going to be like, everything's going to be legal and stuff. However, he's going to be like allowed to walk around with his sword, because apparently it's the only reason he can use his abilities, which you and I both know. Whoever's watching this is the you. His abilities, well, they are the sword at this point, but yeah, useless information because no one's ever going to realise, or will they? Who knows? Anyway, the point is, he will go back to his class. He's going to have a sword at his side, but like, still, he's going to be in his class, and I'm going to say that eventually he's going to learn how to not use it with his sword, but that's besides the point. Anyway, so he's going to be so he's going to arrive in class, and like, let's say, I assume he's in primary school. Let's say, some of the people there will have remembered him as the kid who went missing, and like, tons of people just start like running up to him, and they're like, "Oh my God, Izuku, you're alive! What's going on?" Because, mind you, he would have been seen as a transfer student, as well as, I doubt the students would know, like very little of them at least, and only the teachers would technically know who he was. Anyway, so yeah, that would be the reaction to him, and also Bakugo would come to him, like, be apologetic and stuff, and like, "Oh no, I can't believe I left you, and yeah, I can't believe that happened, Izuku, you've been gone for..." I don't doubt he would call him Deku, but yeah, he'd be like, "Izuku, I can't believe you went missing. I should have definitely gone after you." Anyway, so yeah, after that occurred, I guess there would be like a 7-year time skip to the point where it's, the start of the anime. So that the teacher, the homeroom teacher at the time, comes in, that bald guy with the pointy nose, and he tells them, like, "You guys did really well on the test this year, and like, yeah, cool guys, you guys were like really great." And then he like, and like throws all the papers into the air, and he's like, "I know you all want to become heroes," and then they all start like screaming, "Yeah," and showing off their quirks. Although in this timeline, well, although Izuku is going to be, a bit of a wuss, he is not going to... Okay, sorry about that. I just needed to quickly do something. But yeah. Okay, continuing on from where I was. Izuku would then find... he wouldn't put his hand, like, show off his quirk, because... in this one, although he's not a wuss, he's a bit more dignified. Like, I feel like if Izuku actually had a quirk, he would probably show it off. So yeah. But yeah. So this goes similarly. However, instead of saying like, everybody here except for me can go in, Bakugo would instead say something along the lines of, only me and Izuku can like actually make it and like become number 1 and number 2 heroes. Because in this one, like, although I'm not sure if they would be friends, I would say that, I don't know, he would be a bit more friendly towards Izuku, as well as, like, being like, yeah, this guy's pretty powerful. Although, because I'm going to make it like this, Izuku wouldn't show his, like, dark side, so it was in his darkness power. He would show off his lightning power, so his black lightning power. However, you know, Bakugo wouldn't really understand. Like, he would think this is like, oh my god, like, this is Izuku's power, like, So yeah, people would of course question the fact that he's like walking around with a katana on his side all the time, but over time they would think, whatever, it's a fashion choice, you know? Because kids are dumb. Anyway, yeah, so then, Izuku would then, say, like, Ka-chan, you can't be, like, yeah, he'll say, Ka-chan, you can't act like that. Don't act like you're better than everybody. I mean, after all, there is me, you know, he'd be a bit sassy. This is a sassy Midoriya, you know. Sassiness level, I don't know, 9,000, you know. Anyway, so yeah, this is because, you know, intense rivalry and stuff. Anyway, so, of course, nobody's going to know about Izuku's djinn. Okay, enough talking about that. Then, like, Bakugo would kind of, like, do a slight blush, and he'd be like, Izuku. He'd be like, Izuku, shut up, you know? Bakugo can be sassy too. Anyway, I'm going to say, well, because it's going to be the same as last time, I'm going to be making it so that it goes around the same as last time. Bakugo isn't going to ask Midoriya if they want to go home together, and Izuku's going to be like, I just want to go home quickly. So he's going to go for a shortcut, like in the first one, but of course he would still reach the place around the same time. And he would be like, so you are here, slime monster. Now, I'm going to say this Deku is much more battle proficient. So, in other words, instead of being like his normal self, which is kind of like half battle smarts, half smart smarts, he's going to be more focused to battle smarts. Let's say he read up on military warfare and stuff like that. Maybe there's books inside of like the labyrinth, for all we know. But yeah. I think I said it right, that the labyrinth kind of goes around, like, it kind of comes around through time, but has killed everybody who entered it. Let's say at one point, like, a really good battle leader, whatever, like a general, went in there, and, like, he had his advisors, like, books in there with him, or scrolls, you know? But yeah. So yeah, so that's the sort of stuff he studied during that time. So yeah, he's gonna then turn around and see the sludge monster. The sludge villain is gonna be like, kid, how did you know I was there? And then Deku was like, you know, the only reason I come here is just to see if I can pick a fight or if I can find villains. I mean, after all, it is pretty secluded. So yeah, then, like, the sludge monster's gonna be like, surprise Pikachu face, and he's gonna be like, what is up with this kid? He's got such a strong aura. Of course, like, it's not gonna be like sort of Dragon Ball aura, but like it's gonna be aura, like, as in like kind of like killing intent and stuff, you know. So yeah, Izuku is then gonna like kind of almost do that sort of like a JoJo pose almost, like he's gonna lean his head backwards and he's gonna be like, click his head and he's gonna be like, okay, it's time for you to die. He's not gonna say die, I just couldn't think of anything else. And then the sludge monster's gonna be like, hold up, kid. I'm taking over your body before you can do anything about it. And then, of course, the sludge villain will go towards him, but he's going to feel something stopping him. I'm going to say that Izuku's darkness power has a sort of like, if you've watched Naruto, I believe they're called the Nari clan, basically Shikamaru's clan and Shikadai's clan. He's going to have a similar, his darkness is going to be able to utilize shadows in a similar way. And he's basically going to stop the villain in its tracks. And he's going to be like, and then he's going to just be like, oh, you stopped. With like acting all surprised, kind of cocky in a way. But then the sludge villain's going to be like, what's going on? I can't move. And then Izuku's going to be like, going to lift up his hand, and he's going to just be like, thunder. He's going to say, so this is my own idea for how his lightning, what his lightning is going to be called. It's going to be called Panter Balalark, you know? Because, like, in the anime, Sinbad, so in Maggie Adventures of Sinbad has Balark. Anyway, basically, when he uses his abilities, he's like Balar, or Balark, like Balalark, you know? So I'm going to say that that's just going to be the word for lightning in this, for when Jin uses their abilities, because I cannot be bothered to try and find like a special way of saying lightning. I chose Panther because panther, and the Kage's head is a panther head, so nice. So yeah, Panther just sounds cooler than panther. I don't know why, it's just a personal preference. So he's going to be like Panther Balalark, and then he's just going to fire off like a spiraling, like, jet black lightning from his fingertip or hand, whilst his sword is like slightly shining, like a dim black colour. But yeah, he sends out the thunder, and it hits the slime monster directly, blowing it up into several pieces. Izuku would then use his shadow to collect all the pieces, just move them around a little bit. But this will be, the shadows will be so small that nobody could even notice, you know? He would then let's say he found like a bottle somewhere on the floor, he would just basically put them all in there. Then All Might would appear, because, you know, it's All Might, and he'd be like, "Never fear, for I am here." That's a great All Might impression for me. But yeah, All Might would be like, "Wait, kid, what? what's going on here?" And Deku would be like, "Oh, All Might," and then, you know, he'd do the usual routine of Deku-ness, and he'd be like, "Oh yes," and he'd like run up to All Might, autograph and stuff, you know. But yeah, and then All Might would be like, "Hey kid, what did you do here?" Like after all that happened, he'd be like, "Kid, what did you do here?" And he'd be like, "Oh, what? Oh, I just saw this weird villain here, proclaiming he would take over my body. So I used my," and he would whisper, like in his like slight whisper, single. All Might wouldn't fully hear this. Like he'd know something was being muttered, but like he wouldn't really properly look into it. And he'd be like, "Quirk, to defeat it." But yeah. So yeah, Izuku would then be like, would hand it over to All Might, and All Might would be like, realising his time was up, almost up, he would be like, "Kid, I need to leave now. Bye." And then Izuku would be like, he would like hold on to, let's say he would use thunder to kind of like almost push his body upwards. I don't know at what point they can fly in Maggie, but he would basically utilise the thunder to like push his body upwards and try and catch up after All Might. After realising it's futile, he would grab onto All Might's leg accidentally. He was aiming for the back, let's say. But yeah. All Might would be like, hey kid, why are you on my leg?" And at this moment, the bottle disappeared. although they didn't realise until later. But yeah. And Deku would be like, All Might, I have a few more questions. I'm going to say Izuku is more resilient in this, so his face wouldn't basically look like when Ferb and Phineas and Ferb was time travelling, if anybody knows that episode. I didn't watch it, I just saw like a little video clip of it. Anyway, but yeah, the point is his skin would, unlike how previously his skin kind of ripped off his face, this time it would basically be a bit more normal. But yeah. All Might would be like, oh, fine. Because let's say that All Might just realised instantly, like, shit, I'm too high up, he can't let it go. Because I honestly think it's so dumb that he didn't realise that previously. Anyway. Say, then they would land, and Izuku would be like, so, All Might, I was asking, do you think, so instead of saying, do you think I can become a good hero in the future, he would say something more along the lines of, say, All Might, do you think I'm powerful enough? Do you think I can actually become someone? Instead of saying hero, he would say become someone. Because let's say, in this story, Izuku is more like, heroes aren't going to last forever. I want to be someone who's remembered until like later on in life. Because remember, military smarts. I slightly changed that. But yeah. So of course he's going to know more about history and stuff. Like, he's going to be want to be one of the people who's remembered in history. I mean, he's sure All Might will be, but like he wants to also be. And almost like, shit, I'm out of time. And he would start powering down. Deku would be, of course, surprised. But he would be like, straight away lift up his guard, starting to begin like glowing making his hand glow and like electricity sparking off of it, whilst he begins saying, All Might, who are you? What have you done? Like, what's going on? And he'd be like, Panther? And All Might would be like, whoa, kid, stop! Because, All Might is a normal civilian in this form, so if he got shot by what he can visibly see as electricity, or lightning, but, like, he would think of it as electricity, he'd be like, oh, stop, kid! Don't do it! Don't do this! And, like, Deku would stop, and he'd be like, so who are you? Still, like, on guard, but, a bit more, like, listening more. All Might would then say, I am All Might. It's just that something happened to me many years ago, and that's why it's become. And the rest of the story. I'll just trail off here because All Might basically says the same story, and Izuku would be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, All Might. I didn't realize." All Might would be like, "It's okay. It's understandable. It's reasonable." All Might's a pretty reasonable guy. Just so you know, I'm doing the okay sign. But yeah, then they would hear like kaboom. I'm not gonna do my normal. I'm gonna do my normal explosion. I had food in my mouth. It didn't sound as good as usual. No, that was gonna be a shotgun. Anyway, I'm gonna stop messing around and get on with the story. Anyway, so yeah, then Izuku would be like, oh no. Like, what's going on? I need to check it out. And then he'd say, I'm going to make a new move for him, which is going to, let's say he learnt this after a while, because, let's say that Izuku is mainly based around speed. He would be like, Panther Balalar, like, Volt, let's say. And he's going to be like, he's just going to basically use lightning to, I don't really want to explain this, but I will. He's going to basically surround himself in black lightning almost, but to the point where it almost seems as if his skin is becoming the lightning. And then he would just basically flash forwards. Of course, All Might would be like, what the fuck? Like, what is this kid? Honestly, like, I mean, first he insta-kills that slime villain. Well, not insta-kills, but like instantly subdues that slime villain. And now he's turning into lightning? Black lightning on the desk, like, what? But yeah, Deku very, very quickly manages to get to the crime scene. Of course, due to the nature of black lightning being, dark and like almost, most likely if you stuck to the shadows, barely visible, except for the few bits of crackling, Deku like would reasonably easily do quite well. But yeah, then he would like get to the scene, and then he would be like, "What? Why are these heroes not doing shit? Like, come on, excuse me, what are you not doing?" Like, this is the sort of thing that would be going through his mind. But then he would look closer, like, wait a second, it's the slime villain, that son of a gun. Like, didn't I capture? No. He fell out of All Might's pocket, and then he would look closer and trying to see who was inside, and then he'd be like, let's just say there's complete silence now, and he'd be like, Ka-chan? Also, I'm pretty sure Ka-chan means something really rude in Japanese, but honestly, I read it somewhere once and I can't remember anymore. Anyway, then he'd be like, Panter, Balalark, Volt. And I say, unlike how he originally moves without thinking, he says this without thinking. And he basically and then like someone starts looking at him and they're like, what's this kid saying? Like, that's some weird stuff, is he talking like Latin or something? What? Anyway, but yeah, that's basically this person's opinion of him. And then they would just see him like kind of be surrounded by electricity, black electricity, and then his hair would start to stand on end, almost like Super Saiyan, but like more like in season 4, like when he saves Eri. If you've watched that. Basically, his hair would basically become like that, but instead of like with the blue and green energy, it was more of a black energy. And yeah, then he would like kind of burst forwards in a minute, like in a second. I'm not gonna say millisecond because I just feel like that's too much. But yeah, he would just burst forward, with lightning, and he would just like almost instantly teleport towards Bakugo. So of course Bakugo wouldn't realize that this is Deku because he hasn't seen the full extent of Deku's abilities. But Deku would basically, as soon as like he got even close to the side of it, he would start basically chanting, "Panter, Balalark, Saika," because I'm pretty sure one of Sinbad's abilities was to create like an array of lightning shooting out from his weapon, but this time, of course, as I said, he still has katana. I completely forgot about this, but he still has his katana. So let's say he unsheathes his sword, and like at the tip of it, a black orb starts appearing, and as he says, "Balalark Saika," and like suddenly lightning just starts clashing everywhere, destroying parts of the building. I'm pretty sure they were inside of a building. Anyway, it just starts like ripping everything to shreds. Some of the fire even just starts disappearing due to the heavy amount of rubble falling on it, and just like so much is happening. And then Bakugo would end up like seeing Deku, and he'd be like, what's going on? Of course, you would barely hear him because, he had a sludge monster over him. And the sludge monster would be like, "Oh, damn, it's this kid again." And then he'd be like, "I'm not letting go of another post." But then, like, one of the most intense battle scenes ever, extreme triggering, would occur where... I mean, it wouldn't be the most intense, but yeah, it would be pretty intense. For the sludge villain and Bakugo, but yeah, Deku would basically like unleash the lightning, directing it almost all of it in the direction of the sludge villain. This would then, it would. I feel like it would both disperse the sludge villain, as well as slightly frying a bit of Bakugo's hair and just destroy more buildings and stuff. So rubble is everywhere, and then light would just start shining through, This time, All Might would not interfere. However, he would, as a normal civilian, he would walk up to, walk up to Deku and stuff, like, with everybody else, and would start helping him pick up the sludge. Of course, Deku would realize it's All Might, and he's like, excuse me, what? He'd be wondering what, he would, like, understand why All Might didn't do it, but he's a bit irritated at the same time, because, this friend-ish person of his was, like, in danger, but, like, nobody did anything, especially the heroes who were supposed to protect him. Even the people who had pretty decent... Honestly, if I remember correctly, some of the people who were, some of the heroes who were, at the scene would have actually been pretty good against the sludge villain, if we think about it. Like, the guy, I'm pretty sure there was a guy who could control water. Wouldn't that be really good for not only extinguishing the fire, but also he could have used it to separate the particles in the sludge. Anyway, my own personal opinion, not really important at the moment. Well, this is technically entirely my opinion, but you understand. Anyway, it's kind of irrelevant to the story. So Deku would, instead of being like, hey, why did you do that? Everybody would be like, oh my god, you're so powerful. What was that? Like, what was that black electricity? Deku would, of course, correct them and be like, yeah, you mean to say black lightning? And they'd be like, you're a brat, aren't you? But yeah. Then Deku would walk up to basically would start walking home with Bakugo after, like, tons of, interviews and rubbish like that. And Bakugo would be like, Deku, thank you. The next time, before, like, Izuku would start to say, like, but, no worries. But, like, he would start to say that, but then Bakugo would be like, but don't, he'd be like, that little stop. I had to put on my phone and it turned off. Okay, sorry. So yeah, continuing from where I was, All Might then tells Deku, young Midoriya, I would like to train you. Tons of thoughts going through Deku's mind, like, right now, because he'd be like, no, I feel like he would start muttering, like, oh my god, All Might is going to train me, and he's going to be my teacher, and then he's going to become my teacher later on again, and he's just, like, he's overwhelmed, like, come on. I mean, there's maybe a different Izuku, but he's still very similar to the original. Anyway, so, yeah. Then let's skip to the 10-month, I'm just going to say 10-month training, because I honestly do not remember how long it was. 12-month, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, so 10-month training is going to be basically the same. However, Deku is going to complete it in 4 months. So during this 4 months, at the end of this 4 months, All Might is going to tell Midoriya, young Midoriya, I believe you are ready for One For All. And Izuku's going to be like, wait. Didn't you say that this would take a full 10 months? And then All Might's like, young Midoriya, have you done any previous training? Completely ignoring what Midoriya is saying, but hey. Izuku would then be like, yes, I have. You see, I was the boy who entered the dungeon. Of course, like, All Might would be like, oh my god. So that's how you almost prepared. And that's why you were so powerful. And Izuku would continue by saying, during the time I was in the dungeon, I had to fight for my life. If I hadn't trained, I wouldn't be alive now. I'd be like all those other bodies I found down there. The owner of my sword as well. Let's say Izuku starts his sword on him. And then All Might would be like, young Midoriya, I'm sorry. And basically he would buff up and he'd, like, jump onto... Basically he'd do, like, All Might style hug to Izuku. And then he would stop and be like, Midoriya, I apologize. Also, and then he would become big again, and then he'd be like, eat this. Izuku would then be like, without even not like flinching, he would be like, okay, yes sir. And then he would take the hair and he just like cram it down. Almost reaction to this would be like, what? Wait, what? He didn't even flinch. Come on. I mean, what? Like, is he like malnutritioned or something? Like, come on. Wait. Oh yeah, he's a fortune. Like, what? How was he so comfortable with this? Izuku, of course, had to eat bugs when he was in the dungeon, so I doubt he would have a problem. Anyway, then the training would continue for the next 6 months. However, of course, he already has one for all. Okay, so I'm not gonna say he has full power link just because I'll just say that, I don't know, during the 11 days or something, like the week before he gets introduced, he realizes it, like, oh my god, I could have done this the whole time. Oh my god. But yeah, then, so again, during the 6 month time skip, I'm gonna say that Izuku, so, oh, crap. During this, during the 6 months, I would say that, Izuku would learn how to, utilize better his, abilities. So he would learn a bit more about djinn equip. So I wouldn't say that he would learn like, oh, so this is what djinn equip is. No, I feel like, you know how, I'm sorry, I'm going fully off Sinbad here, but basically, because it was the most recent one I watched. I'm sure like Labyrinth has something similar to this. Anyway, but yeah, the point is, he would basically like learn about his like body equips. However, I would say that he would only like properly gain the ability to just like turn his arm into the equip. And I would say it almost would be like he would be covered in sort of a panther-like fur. However, and with like claws and stuff. However, at the top it would be like almost like a spike coming out. I personally think that's how it would look. I don't know, comment suggestions down below, but yeah, that's my idea of how it would look. Of course, like, his full body equip would be like, just think of Sinbad's Balala equip, but instead, you know, the thing he has on his forehead, it wouldn't really exist. Instead of having scales, he would just have like really smooth, like nice looking black fur with spikes on his shoulders. Same with his legs, but without the spikes. His chest would be basically the same, just more of a white. And yeah. But yeah, that's. I'm going too far into it. Basically, that's how his full body equipped would look like though. He would also his hair would go black, longer, and he would get like panther ears. Anyway, and whiskers. Anyway, so yeah, then he would he would find out how to do it, and he would put it on his arm. So his right. Let's say he uses his right hand for. You know, I don't really know what hand he can use. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. Basically, whichever hand he uses when he uses his katana to fight, so when he uses his djinn, that's the one where he gets the equip. And let's say one of his legs also becomes like that, you know? And slowly coming onto his torso, you know? I feel like that's how however, if he's wearing clothing, proper clothing, it would only be visible properly on his arm. Okay, so, let's go to the exam. So, this time there would be no conversation between Bakugo and Izuku. Let's just say that they went separately at different times. And let's also say that he doesn't trip over in this one. So yeah, and sorry, I lost a bit track of where I was. Yeah, basically, Deku, unlike previously, sadly will not have tripped, so at this moment in time he would not have met Uraka yet, and he would not have had any reaction to her yet. So, I feel like, actually this is better, because if I do decide to go with a, was it Izuraka, I don't know, whatever it's called, the ship between them, if I choose that one, I mean, technically this would be better for it, because, you know, she doesn't see him as much of a child, or whatever reaction I would have chosen for this. But yeah. The only reason he didn't trip this time is because, you know, he's more calm and collected. Because remember, battle smart. I mean, wouldn't he know, like, if you're going to a battle, you gotta be, like, you gotta be ready, you gotta be, like, in the zone, you know? Anyway, so yeah. Then everything would go the same. I think that if, let's say that the questions he got were very battle related, because I just want him to get very, very high marks. Let's say he gets, like, the highest score, when it comes to written exam. And then we have le practical exam. Completely butchered that. Anyway, he has the practical exam. Anyway, so yeah, I must say that here, Ida never stops him, so Ida has no real reason to talk to him. And Deku is just preparing. Oh, actually, no, Ida will have to talk to him, because remember, Leizuku has a f***ing katana on his side, you know? I don't think that's allowed. So yeah. By the way, Deku's going to be able to control the amount of power output usage he does on his one for all. So yeah, just to let you know. So yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna say that Deku this time, due to his abilities of, you know, sorry, I am skipping way too far ahead. Far ahead. So yeah, Ida's like, excuse me, why do you have a katana on your side? And Deku's gonna be like, oh, it's part of my quirk. It's like one of the only reasons I can use it. And Ida's like, sorry for taking your private, personal issues. I apologize. And he's like, don't worry. But next time, Mr. Engine, it would be, Ida would be like, my name is Ida. In Ida, it would be better if you didn't disturb people, because remember, we're all trying to prepare our minds so that we can actually go into this properly. Ida would be a bit taken back, like, oh my god, this sweet-looking boy is such a rebel. But yeah. Anyway, then it would start, and Deku would be like, he would slightly shift his katana up, like hold on to it, and then everybody would see like a bit of black energy appear, whilst he says Balalark, he says Panter Balalark, Balalar, Volt, and he would just basically burst forwards, faster than Ida, even though Ida's is like running as well. And let's say he did unsheath his sword whilst doing this, and he starts like cutting through everything. So yeah. By the way, the only reason I made it so that he couldn't use enough of one for all, and that he didn't have full body djinn equip, is because I don't want him to be too OP. Anyway, he's still going to be pretty OP. So I'm going to say that he gets more points than Bakugo. He gets let's say about 80 points. Maybe if I'm trying to push it, 85 points, just to make him seem more special. And then, of course, after he gains the 85th point, he puts out his sword, and he thinks in his head, okay, 85th point, okay. And then he hears, and then he sees people, like, running away and kind of, like, in disarray, and he's like, excuse me, why are people running? And of course he's saying this in his head. And when he and then he thinks, 0 pointer. And then he's like, wait, these people would be scared for only one reason. Someone was attacked by it, meaning there's a very high chance someone's in danger. I think I should go. Because I don't understand how the medical services work here. Maybe they're the same as normal facilities, although it is UA. Then he's like, you know what? No, man, stop thinking. Start working. Then he uses his Panther Balalar Volt. I'm just gonna say it's Volt from now on. And he will run through everybody. Everybody would only see like a black piece of lightning almost going past them. But he would basically just zoom past them all, and he would end up with where it is, and then he'd be like, and then he'd hear then he would actually hear at this point Ochaku like being like, help me, I'm in pain, and Izuku's reaction to this would be like, no, she's in trouble. He would then use Volt in an ulterior way to boost himself upwards in a jump. So instead of breaking both of his legs this time, he will just be possibly breaking another limb, because I want him to break a limb. Anyway. He would then he would jump up and he would be face to face with it, or metal robotic head to face. And then he would basically he would use as much of the djinn equip as he could possibly do. Which would be, even then, it would be using very much of his power for the djinn, and he would basically consume almost half of his body in it. Of course, nothing to do with his head. He wouldn't even grow his panther is, but he would then be 100%. He would use all for 100%. He'd be like, all for 100%. Panther Balalar, strike! And he would basically summon a bunch of panther lightning, so the black lightning, around his fist, which would fuse with his own green lightning that is based around the fact that he's the 7th user. So it would be like a black and green and almost lightning surrounding his arm, which, as I told you previously, looks like almost, if I did say it previously, looks basically like a black fur-covered arm with claws and everything, and the spike, that, and then also fur legs. So you know how panthers have really smooth fur, basically like that fur. Also claws on his leg, on his feet, or one of his feet. So because this is only half of him. Also he kind of got that from, you know how Balalar from Sinbad, he got that sort of chest, but only half of it, So he would be like that sort of form. And then he would basically be he would lift his sword up. And then no, what am I saying? What on earth am I saying? Anyway, that entire arm, so the arm that he was using would be entirely covered in the lightning, so the combination of the black and green lightning. And he would basically, he would just just pummel it. He would just drill into its face and just destroy instantly. And of course, because Deku is much better in this, and also because he would most likely have a high percentage of one for all, simply because of the fact that he had more time to train it, I'd say that maybe he'd be able to use 20%, let's say. I know it's a bit of a skip from being 10%, but I think it's correct. It would be correct, because he has enough, he is training a lot, and he probably has enough time from when he had 5% previously. I think I've got the correct amount of time. Anyway, then he would basically destroy the entire robot. So then during the 11-week time skip, to the point, I think it's the 11-day, basically the week time skip, where until he gets the results, he realizes he thinks about full counting, and he's like, wait a second, my djinn equip, I assume is going to eventually be all around my body, couldn't it technically work the same way as my as one for all? Couldn't I revert all of its power around me at a single for a single percentage, and that would allow me to control it more stably? He would realize this and be like, "Alright, how did I not think of this previously? I didn't have enough djinn." Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna say that he stays at this like sort of half of his body djinn equip for a while. I say until a decent arc. Anyway, then he gets his acceptance letter and he finds out he's got like 160, maybe 50 points. I'll say 150 points. So he's got 85 murder points, and he's got... I'm sorry, I did not think this through. I did not want to display my math prowess, which is non-existent. Wow, I got completely lost track of thought. So 150 points, if that's what I said. Let's say, yeah, I did say 150 points. Let's just pretend I did, if I didn't. Anyway, so yeah, 85 attack points. How many savior points did he get? 70-something points. Ugh. Yeah, let's say 70-something points. 75? No. 65 points. So yeah. I'm pretty sure this means he has a better score than All Might did. Anyway, so yeah. Of course, everybody was... the people who were watching him display his performance, especially All Might, would be like, "Oh my god." And All Might would be like, "That's my boy!" You know? Anyway, yeah, he scored best in everything, basically. So yeah, I'm going to end this timeline of the What If, and I shall now begin if he didn't get one for all. Literally everything's going to go the same. However, up until the point where the sludge villain appears. So, instead of him grabbing onto All Might's thing, let's say that they did have a small chat before that happened, and then he jumped away, you know? He had the bottle, and then everything went well. So yeah, during the training time skip, what's actually going to happen instead is that he's going to still clear at the beach like he does in the original anime. However, he's going to be training his djinn equip. I'm going to say in this timeline, he easy mode gets full body djinn equip, you know? The one I told you guys about, he gets the long black hair, panther ears, he gets whiskers, he gets, you know, that black fur, neck claws on, like, on his feet as well, and everything like that. Ooh, whoops, that. And yeah. So yeah. I'll say he also gets a red eye on his forehead, let's say. Like, but that's only when he uses his full abilities. Yeah, I think that's enough. Yeah. So then he, and this is, of course, going to change everything a lot. I'm going to say that he's more powerful now. And this time, he definitely doesn't break his arm. Did I say that he broke his arm? Yes, he did break his arm. Anyway. In the previous one. Anyway. So, of course, again, he's not going to trip. He's not going to be with Bakugo or nothing like that. He's just going to, like, be in there. He's going to ace the written exam. But you'll know that is not the important part. Here we go. Same conversation with Ida, by the way. And same situation where he dashes out. However, before dashing out, everybody sees this occur, where he transforms. Of course, this is going to be the fabulous transformation. All of his muscles start bulging. Like, even Kirishima would be put to shame, you know? Like, that sort of bulging. Even All Might. All Might is no bulge compared to this, you know? Of course, this would surprise All Might in the background, although he wouldn't know if if Deku would be the right choice. So I'm assuming that Mirio would be given it. Although I feel really uncomfortable still with that idea. I feel like All Might would just never give it to anybody in the end and just die with it. Or he would give it to someone else. Honestly, just put your ideas down below. I personally believe that Mirio would get it anyway. I guess Todoroki maybe, but he's a little shit sometimes. So is Bakugo, so neither of them are getting it. Like, it's literally their zilch possibility. Anyway, so yeah, everybody would see his transformation and they'd be like, what is this kid? I'm gonna say he keeps his trousers just because I can't be able to, like, understand if they lose their trousers. But yeah, I'm gonna say he wears you guys can choose either a similar costume to Alibaba, or a similar costume to, it's gonna be Alibaba's costume. Or something similar anyway. Like, instead of red, it's going to be black. Instead of that blue, it's going to be green. Sorry about that. Anyway, so, Deku basically does this transformation. And let's say he just racks up until he gets 90 points this time. The only reason I'm changing it just a tiny amount is because I assume there's a limited amount of creatures, and I feel like Deku would just take a break for a while, still in his transform stage, but he would just sit down, in his costume, and he just laid down almost, like, with his hands behind his back, the back of his head and stuff, and he just lay down and be like, oh, this was so tiring, I kind of want to take a nap, and then he just starts yawning, and then, of course, like in the other part, he would then see a bunch of people who could possibly become heroes, run off into the distance, and then he just does the same thing as previously. He starts muttering, he just assumes, okay, battle smarts activate, most likely running from a 0-pointer. Then he's like, oh wait, if they're running away, someone must have been attacked, so he just dashes forward. He uses his Volt, and basically just, because he can't be able to just walk there normally. And yeah. He then hears Uraraka scream, and Uraraka will be, so this time, because of his, luscious hair and beautifulness, she'll be like, wait, isn't that kid from earlier, the green-haired kid who transformed? And then she would just start staring at him, and then she would be like, wait, why is he getting higher? Why is he getting taller? And then she would look at his feet, and then she'd be like, wait, he's floating? How many quirks does this kid have? Yeah, so Deku would start floating upwards. All the examiners would be like, well, what? This kid has a floating quirk? What? But it says here that he doesn't even have that quirk. What's going on? All Might would be like, wait, this child might have a similar situation to me. Maybe he has a special quirk. I'm still not giving Izuku All Might one for all yet, but I mean, if you want to continue with this one, but you recommend switching up so that he does get one for all, I mean, it's you guys' choice. Anyway, he then, Deku's then, this is my idea of special ability for him. Of course, nobody at this point actually knows that he uses darkness. I'm gonna say, because of Otaku's flusteredness, she wouldn't see this. She'd be like, oh my god, he's so hot, and he has that really cute mode as well. She'd just be flustered, oops, my bra fell off flustered level. Anyway, but yeah, the examiners would be busy looking over files and stuff. All Might would be still watching on, so he'd be the only person who actually sees this. I'm I'm gonna say Ida sees that he went over to him, so at this point in time, Ida is about to go over, but then he's like, but I've seen that kid's power. I'm sure they're alright. Ida looks down on himself, because like he saw this kid who seems so powerful just rush in to save her straight away. I mean, he is powerful, but still, doesn't he have a fear of danger? Is basically what he's thinking. Deku then says, Grand Kage, so that's basically going to be Grand Shadow. And then he just says, Black Hole. And basically he just summons like a tiny orb, black orb in his hand, and then he just blows it. And it starts like kind of almost fluttering, like wavering forward. And then it starts like, and then it just all of a sudden, it starts like, everything starts floating towards it. Even the rock that Oshako was underneath. Of course, All Might's watching this and is like, what the hell is this? What is that weird orb? And then All Might sees like even the giant robot is just like getting ripped to shreds slowly. Izuku continues pushing it forward, and once it gets to a 10-meter point, it just stops. And then just absorbs everything around it. Ochako, of course, is not getting hurt. She's like, let's say that she's out of its field of attack. Or Deku just doesn't want it to hurt her area. And he basically absorbs everything. And then, once that's done, he moves it close. So let's say that the monster, I keep calling it a monster. The robot is still slightly, slightly working, and Deku just shoves the black hole, because let's say the black hole's a bit bigger now. Let's say he like makes it even smaller, like back to its like original form, shoves it inside of the robot, and then he walks away. He picks up Ochako, and like everybody's like, and then he walks over to the other people. Like let's say he sees Ida, and he walks over to him, and he gives him Ochako, and says, "Okay, I'm gonna kill this robot." And he just like, he clicks his finger and blows it up. Let's say he looks away because he's cool, and he's like, and like with that sort of attitude as if he just said, "Omae mo shinderu," you know? Of course he didn't, but like, he's got this sort of attitude with it. Then he walks out of the gate knowing that it's the end now. He yawns, and then, of course, there's the week time skip. Let's say during this week, I don't know. Honestly, there's not much that could happen. Like, he's already really powerful. I don't know what could happen. Let's say that he trains his darkness a bit. Because like, he hasn't really been training it because he doesn't want anybody to know that he has another, technically, quirk. So yeah. Until he just trains it a bit in his house, he just plays around with it and just does whatever. As well as this, like, let's say he has a training routine and he does that. Oh, sorry about this. And yeah. Then he finds out he's the best and whatever. So yeah. Cool. This is the end of the what if. I hope you guys like or whatever, because that just makes me feel much better about myself and gives me more confidence to make more videos. Also put comments in them below, because I mean, it's always fun to see what people have to say. I don't know really what to say. Okay, so toodaloo, I guess. Bye.